Hello everyone, and welcome to my Wrath of the Lich King Classic Marksmanship Hunter Phase 1 Best in Slot Guide. In this guide, we'll be covering what is absolute BiS for gear, the talent builds and glyphs, and good alternatives for each gear slot. We'll also be covering a priority list and what you should put in your wish list or that's my BiS. The best in slot gear set shown in this video has been extensively simmed through WoW Sims and has seen multiple minor tweaks over the last few weeks. What was previously known to be best in slot in private servers has slightly changed due to better sims and theory crafting done in the classic community. Before we look at the gear set overall, let's quickly take a look at Emblems of Valor. What item you should spend your emblems on first will depend on your own personal situation and what your loot priority looks like within your guild. Tier 7.5 shoulders and legs are both phase 1 BiS pieces and can both be purchased with Emblems of Valor. However, if you get lucky in raids and you get the tier tokens before you even have the emblems for tier tokens, then Hammerhead Sharkskin Cloak and Arm Guard of the Tower Archer are both great options, and it will be situational on your loot priority, so make a judgment call for yourself. Starting off with the gear set as a whole, we use Blue Aspect Helm, socketed with the Relentless Earthsiege Diamond and a Delicate Dragon's Eye. For the neck, we use Favor of the Dragon Queen, socketed with a Delicate Dragon's Eye. For the shoulders, we use Valorous Cryptstalker, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the cloak, we use Drape of the Deadly Foe. For the chest, we use Chest Guard of Flagrant Prowess, socketed with a Delicate Dragon's Eye and Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the bracers, we use Slime Stream Bands, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the gloves, we use Frosted Adroid Handguards. For the belt, we use Depraved Link Belt, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the legs, we use Valorous Cryptstalker Legguards, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby and Enchanted Tear. For the boots, we use Boots of Renewed Flight. For the rings, we use Strong-Handed Ring and Surge Needle Ring. For the trinkets, we use Dark Moonguard Greatness and Mirror of Truth. For the melee weapon, we use Journey's End. And finally, for the ranged weapon, we use Envoy of Mortality. Now let's quickly look at the talent build and glyphs that you will use in Phase 1 as a Marksmanship Hunter. You're going to be running a 757-7 build with Glyph of Chimera Shot, Glyph of Steady Shot, and Glyph of Serpent Sting. Now, assuming you're going to Trap Weave as Marksmanship in Phase 1, your talent build looks almost exactly the same. However, you're going to pull the 3 points out of Improved Arcane Shot, you're going to move them into Trap Mastery, and then you're going to replace your Glyph of Steady Shot with Glyph of Explosive Trap. Now that we have looked over the absolute best in slot gear set as a whole, let's dive into individual gear slots and take a look at the best option, as well as some good alternatives for each slot. As we know, obtaining full BiS in each phase is highly unlikely, so you will need to use alternative gear sets and options at times, and it's foolish to pass up side grades while waiting for your best in slot piece, which may never drop. Starting with the helm slot, we have Blue Aspect Helm. This is your best option for phase 1, and it shouldn't be all that contested, so you should have no issues obtaining it. Your next best option will be Valor's Cryptstalker Headpiece, followed by Helm of the Grave. These options are both decent alternatives for marksmanship, assuming there are multiple people ahead of you for Blue Aspect Helm. Survival hunters will want Valor's Cryptstalker Helm token as their absolute BiS, so you should pass this to them if you have a survival hunter in your raid. For the neck, we use Favor of the Dragon Queen. This piece of gear comes from the quest item dropped by 25-man Malagos, and it is going to be highly contested by many classes, so you will need to wait your turn. The next best option is Pendant of the Dragonsworn, which comes with the 10-man version of the Malagos quest item, and in the event you are unlucky with these quest rewards, you can opt for Icy Blast Amulet, Gem of the Imprisoned Vassals, or Fool's Trial. For the shoulders, you will want to use Valor's Cryptstalker Spalders. Luckily, the tier token can be purchased with Emblems of Valor, so this will not be a difficult piece of gear to obtain. All of the shoulder alternatives such as Hero's Cryptstalker Spalders, Upstanding Spalders, and Spalders of Egotism will never really see any use as Valorous Cryptstalkers are just way too easy to get. For the cloak, you have a few good options here. Drape of the Deadly Foe is your best in slot and a fairly sizable upgrade over Ice Striker's cloak from previous. This cloak is another item that will be highly contested by pretty much every other physical DPS class, so you will potentially need to look at your next best alternative, which is Hammerhead Sharkskin Cloak. Luckily, this cloak only costs 25 Emblems of Valor, so should you need to go that route, it will be easy to obtain. If you're in a position where your gear where hit rating is required, then Cloak of Mastery is a great option to help with that. For the chest slot, we use Chest Guard of Flagrant Prowess. This is a huge piece for hunters and itemized perfectly. It provides a significant amount of hit rating, as well as crit rating and attack power. If you are unlucky with loot prio, or this chest just isn't dropping in your raids, you can choose to opt for Tunic of Mass Suffering. This option is fairly close to Chest Guard of Flagrant Prowess, but it will require you to swap a few gems around to Rigid Autumn's Glow to maintain hit cap. Valor's Cryptstalker Tunic is another good alternative, and if the tier token drops, by all means take it if you do not have prio on chest guard or flagrant prowess, or your guild gets unlucky with drops. For the bracers, there are a few good options. Slime Stream bands are the best option overall, but Arachnoid Gold Band and Arm Guard or the Tower Archer are fairly close alternatives. Arachnoid Gold Band will require one gem swap to a Rigid Autumn's Glow if the rest of your current gear set does not reach hit cap. Slime Stream bands shouldn't be very contested, however, but if another hunter or enhancement shaman in your raid has priority, then purchasing Arm Guard or the Tower Archer is also a good alternative. For the gloves, we have a lot of options available. Frosted Adroid handguards are the best option and a fairly big DPS upgrade from previous gloves, but they will be highly contested by many other classes. All of the alternatives for the glove slot will require you to regem a bit to Rigid Autumn's Glow, but this will still be better than the previous options overall. Gloves of Calculated Risk are your best alternative option, followed by Rusted Link Spike Gauntlets, and finally Valor's Cryptstalker Gauntlets. If you're low on the priority list for Frosted Android, then just pick whatever alternative drops first. They're all close enough together in terms of DPS that the difference in game really won't be noticeable. For the belt, there are a few great options, all fairly close to each other. Depraved Link Belt is the best overall option in full BiS, however Torn Web Wrap-In is extremely close and can actually be better in most cases, assuming you need the hit rating while gearing up, which will be the case a lot of the time. Spectral Rider's Girdle is another decent option from 10-man X Rammus that you can aim for if you've been unlucky with your 25-man raid loot. The leg slot for hunters is luckily another easy one similar to the shoulders. Valor's Cryptstalker leg guards are the best option and can be purchased with Emblems of Valor, so there's no contesting other classes at the end of the day. If you're lucky enough to get this tier token and raids before you have all your emblems, then spend your emblems on the next best option in your gear set. Leggings of Failed Escape are the next best option, but since Valor's Cryptstalker leg guards are so easy to get, I wouldn't make a fuss if you don't get priority on them or if they drop early on. Leggings of Colossal Strides are in the same boat as Leggings of Failed Escape, a decent alternative but nothing to go crazy over. The boot slot is a major one for hunters, and where you will see one of your biggest DPS upgrades. Boots of the Renewed Flight are an incredibly powerful piece of gear that should be at the top of your priority list. Crippled Treads and Boots of the Great Construct are the next best options, and nearly identical alternatives in terms of DPS. Personally, I would aim for Crippled Treads as the next best option, assuming you don't have priority of Boots of the Renewed Flight. For the rings, there are a lot of great options available. All of the alternatives will require some gem swaps to accommodate hit rating, but even after the gem swaps for hit, they are still extremely close to the best options. Strong-Handed Ring and Surge Needle Ring are the best options to aim for. If you have plenty of gold laying around, you can just purchase a Surge Needle Ring as it is BOE. Strong-Handed Ring will be fairly contested, so in the meantime look at options such as Great Ring of Collision, Ring of Invincibility, and Sealing Ring of Globulus. Now for the trinkets. Dark Moon Card Greatness and Mirror of Truth are your best options. Dark Moon Card Greatness will be incredibly expensive early on in Wrath, and for most players out of reach for quite some time. The trinket will last you into Ulduar and until you obtain your trinkets there, so the price ultimately will be worth it. For those that will never be able to afford Dark Moon Card, there are many great alternatives from raids. The best alternative is Lotheb's Shadow, followed closely by Fury of the Five Flights and finally Bandit's Insignia. Lastly, we have Grim Toll to look at. This trinket is actually incredibly good should you choose to trap wave his marksmanship, since you will use the full 83 hit rating when you take points out of Focus Aim for trap mastery. This trinket is best in slot for a lot of classes, but it does drop off multiple bosses in Nax Rammus, so getting one shouldn't be too difficult. For the melee weapons, the best option is Journey's End. Feral Druids will be contesting you for this staff, and it may be worth considering passing the first one to them, as they will benefit from it far more than you will as a hunter. Now when it comes to Betrayer of Humanity, yes, it is extremely close to being the next best alternative, however it is Arms and Fury Warrior's absolute best option, and under no circumstance should you take this from them, similar to how they should never take a ranged weapon from a hunter. In the meantime, you can opt to use Crypt Fiend's Bite or Black Ice if either of them drop and no one wants them. Finally, we have the ranged weapon to look at. There's only one weapon you should even consider, and that is Envoy of Mortality. This gun is an incredibly big DPS upgrade over the next best option, and any alternative should only be taken if you have incredibly bad luck with drops. Nerubian Conqueror, Final Voyage, and Arrow Song are all at minimum a 250 DPS decrease behind Envoy of Mortality. Now that we have taken a look over the gear itself, let's take a look at what your priority list should look like. Keep in mind that this list is based mainly on DPS gain per slot, and the competition with other classes. Your guild may have different loot priorities, so if they're transparent with loot, make adjustments as necessary, but this is what I personally recommend. Number 1 would be Boots of the Renewed Flight. Number 2 is Blue Aspect Helm. Number 3 is Frosted Adroid Handguards. Number 4 is Drape of the Deadly Foe. Number 5 is Depraved Link Belt. Number 6 is Chest Guard of Flagrant Prowess. Number 7 is Strong Handed Ring. Number 8 is Favor of the Dragon Queen. And number 9 is Slime Stream Bands. This wraps up the Marksmanship Hunter Phase 1 Best in Slot Guide for Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Remember that when gearing up, you don't need to be a loot goblin and take every single BiS item and claim it as Hunter Prio. You're part of a team, and regardless of where loot goes, your team progresses as a whole. If you found this video helpful, then please like and subscribe. Also feel free to comment down below if you have any questions. You can join my Discord linked in the video description below, and follow me on Twitch for more Hunter content. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.